So I have decided upon what I believe to be an appropriate sentence in this case. This case does obviously involve extremely unique circumstances that have been largely restated here at this hearing, and all of the facts and circumstances came out at trial. It's a complicated case. In the end, my job is to determine for Mr. Guerrero what is a reasonable and proportionate sentence to the offense and his individual characteristics. I have also considered the arguments made by the state and its sentencing recommendation, the arguments made by Attorney Starbranch and his recommendation, and the statement made by Mr. Guerrero's mother, as well as his own allocution here today. I've taken into account the aggravating factors, which include that this was a dwelling of another at night. It appears to have been motivated by an intent to violate Ms. Nunez's privacy and to satisfy a certain obsession that Mr. Guerrero had with her, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. So there are some aggravating circumstance to it. The mitigating circumstances are Mr. Guerrero's age, his relative lack of maturity, particularly from a social standpoint, and his complete lack of any criminal history. So for all of, and also I've taken into account the conventional considerations in sentencing, such as the need to specifically deter you from future criminal conduct. I do not expect that you'll be in trouble with the law again, and I've built a sentence here that will help ensure that. General deterrence, obviously the sentence has to have some component to send a message to the community that this type of behavior won't be tolerated and will be punished. And then as well, rehabilitation, and there's a significant component of this sentence that deals with rehabilitation. It does appear to me that you have at least begun the process of rehabilitation. That has not been, I think, in my judgment, significant at this point, and I do intend to impose requirements on you that are geared toward your rehabilitation. The offense and the unique circumstances of the offense do require a period of incarceration. And so, on the following charge IDs, in docket number 22 CR 64, charge ID ending in 114C, that's a Class B felony burglary. And then 3 criminal trespass charges, 115C, 910C, and 22 CR 68, charge ID ending in 940C. You are sentenced to the House of Correction for a period of 12 months. You have pretrial confinement credit of 16 days. This sentence is stand committed commencing today, and these 4 sentences are concurrent with each other. You are to participate meaningfully in and complete any counseling, treatment, and education programs as directed by your correctional authority. You are ordered to be of good behavior and comply with all the terms of the sentence. And then the sentencing order includes the following language. This sentence does not include a recommendation for administrative home confinement. If at any time during the sentence the superintendent deems AHC to be conducive to the defendant's rehabilitation, the superintendent shall notify both the court and the state prior to release, and if requested by the state, a hearing shall be promptly held under RSA 651-19-3. In docket number 22 CR, I believe it's 68. This is the Class A felony burglary. The sentence is as follows. You're sentenced to the House of Correction for a period of 12 months with no pretrial confinement credit. All of this sentence is suspended during good behavior and compliance with all the terms and conditions of this order. Any suspended sentence may be imposed after a hearing at the request of the state. The suspended sentence begins today and ends 5 years from your release from the House of Correction. This sentence is consecutive to your House of Correction sentence if imposed. In addition, you're placed on probation for a period of 3 years on this sentence upon the usual terms of probation and any special terms determined by your probation officer, and probation begins upon your release. Subject to the provisions of RSA 504A43, your probation officer is granted the authority to impose a jail sentence of 1 to 7 days in response to a violation of a condition of probation not to exceed a total of 30 days during the probationary period. If you violate your probation and your probation is revoked by the court, you may be sentenced up to the legal limits for the underlying offense. The underlying offense is a Class A felony and is punishable by up to 7.5 to 15 years in state prison. You are to participate meaningfully in and complete any counseling, treatment, or educational programs as directed by your correctional authority or your probation officer. You're ordered to have no contact with Rachel Nunez, Weston Nunez, or Victoria Bork, either directly or indirectly, including but not limited to contact in person, by mail, phone, email, text message, social networking sites, and or through third parties, or any digital or virtual platform of any kind. You're ordered to be of good behavior and comply with all the terms of the sentence. Further, you shall continue in counseling and provide proof as directed by your probation officer. Within 90 days of release from the House of Correction, you shall obtain a psychosexual evaluation by a qualified provider and follow all recommendations as a condition of the suspended sentence and your probation sentence. With respect to the state's request that I qualify Mr. Guerrero as qualifying for registration with the sex offender registration, I do not find by clear and convincing evidence that the offenses here were driven by a sexual compulsion, as I understand that term to mean under the statute. Nevertheless, even if it did, I do not find that Mr. Guerrero's circumstances suggest that protection of the public requires registration, and therefore he will not be required to register as a sex offender. Attorney Starbridge, are there any objections to the legality of the sentence?
No, Your Honor.
Attorney Garrod?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Guerrero, the sentence is now imposed. What happens next is you're taken into custody by the sheriff. You'll be brought across the street to the House of Correction. Good luck.